Welcome back, everybody, to This Is My Bourbon Podcast. I'm your host, Perry. It is episode 373, and with me, just like he always is, it's my co-host with the Mo-host. It's the Whiskey Mutant.
The Mo-host? What? I'm just glad you didn't do that dumb voice.
What do you mean?
No!
Eric the Whiskey Mutant, he's here.
It's me. Apparently the Mo-host. I don't even know what that means.
Host
Hostess with the mostest?
Yeah.
What's the Mo-host?
Like co-host with the Mo-host.
That just sounds like you're putting me down.
No,
You know, you're just the co-host with the Mo-host.
What? I should have said co-most.
Co-most.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll take it. It's fine. High proof hot day.
No, man! Dadgummit, right off the bat.
I'm just playing.
I try to hype you up and it backfires.
Hype.
We got a big episode for y'all this week. It's a continuation of last week's episode, basically, where we reviewed a bunch of Barrell products. And this week, we're going to talk to the guy who's behind the magic of those Barrell products,
He's
the
a
founder,
magician?
Joe Beatrice. You could call him that if you want to.
Pulls a barrel out of a hat.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that, actually.
But it's just a little barrel, like a little
Yeah.
Christmas ornament. He's like, gotcha.
What's your take on magicians' magic?
Liars.
Cowards.
Except Ty.
Except Ty Gallenback.
Except Ty. He's
Yeah.
the only one I support.
Yeah. I get on board with that take. Yeah.
He did steal some of my bourbon once, and he did the little thing, and he stole it, and he never gave it back, and I just let it happen.
I think I lost like a $20 bill to him.
I was kind of
once.
scared because I thought it was like he was more like witchcraft.
Yeah.
So
that's when I'm really terrified when it turns into sorcery.
I just let him do it.
Yeah.
So
fair enough. We're also going to let you go to patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast and support the show for as little as $1 a month.
We give you permission.
If you can, with your discretionary entertainment funding, or funds, however you want to put it. For as little as $5 a month, though, there's bonus content that is over there every single dadgum week. Mondays, you got a bonus episode. Tuesdays, you got the pregame chats and early access to each week's episode that is uncut and unfiltered for your little listening ears.
Oh, your little ears.
We usually do stuff that is just for the Patreon audience over there as well, that the main listeners don't get to enjoy either. I don't know what we're going to do this week since we have an interview. Maybe we'll ask Joe some Patreon-only questions.
And I get to ask them.
No, not that one. Not that one. Not that one. Eric, we talked about this. We normally kick off episodes with a segment called Flying Blind, though. It's where we blind each other on something. And Eric's longingly looking at the glasses of whiskey that we recorded a bonus episode on that will be out before too long.
I got to stop looking at this stuff.
We had a very, very fun time recording that bonus episode. Yeah. We're all out of sorts. We're doing things out of order. It's a lot of fun, but stay tuned for that here soon. I got something I'm going to blind Eric on here in just a moment, if you don't mind.
Do it.
Close your eyes.
Close my eyes. Nice cork pop.
There was no way I couldn't do that. I'm sorry.
So it's got a cork.
Well, yeah.
Got that. Figured that part out.
I pulled a cork out and then I used a sample bottle to pour.
You jerk. Close.
All right, you can look now.
Ugh. I did that thing again.
You know you don't have to do that thing.
I like it.
Well.
All right. Okay.
It's okay to reset your nose and your palate if you want.
Big bubblegum nose.
Yeah.
Big pink powdery bubble gum. Maybe a little bit of the wrapper still left. But mainly pink bubble gum.
Yeah. I think it tastes better than it smells.
I think it smells better than it tastes.
Okay.
It's kind of got a stale palate up front. I do get more of that bubblegum powder on the finish. And it's deceiving because it smells a little thicker than it tastes. Like I was expecting like a syrupy like thing, and it's kind of thin.
I mean, it's a little typical for this brand. It can happen.
God, it smells like that pink bubble gum, either a Big League Chew or like the bubble tape.
Oh yeah. Not my favorite. Also, not my least favorite either. I'll say that much.
Yeah. Bubblegum finish.
Yeah.
I would assume this is probably 100 proof.
Okay.
What? Well, that's wrong.
It is not.
Okay. Not 100 proof?
No.
It's got some like...
It's got some kick to it.
I feel like this is like a... I feel like this is like something that just should be better.
Yes.
It
always.
Yeah, like it's got a spice of 100 proof. I know it doesn't finish like 100 proof, but it just kind of feels like that. But it's very lacking in anything. That
Basil Hayden 10-year.
These Basil Haydens are always
the worst. I did it for my live stream last night. Paired it up against a bunch of other 10-year-old bourbons, and surprisingly, it fared pretty well when compared to other 10-year-old bourbons.
At that nose.
I'm not mad about this in general.
I'm kind of mad at the palate.
I don't think it's that bad. I just think that like
not when I've had some other 10-year-old whiskey.
Exactly, but also like as is the case with basically every Basil Hayden.
Yeah.
I just wish it weren't 80 proof. But it is very cool to have a 10-year-old high rye Jim Beam.
Yeah.
It just
that high rye that's
exactly. It just sucks that it's 80 proof. Now, if this were Old Granddad 114 at 10 years old, it would be amazing.
Could it be that if they said that?
What do you mean?
So with
it's the same mash bill.
That's what I'm saying. They could say that if they like raise the proof and stuff.
Yeah. There's no reason for it not to be.
And if it was Old Granddad, they should make this like a belt, but his pants are still falling down. It's like an Old Granddad.
You can see his crack.
Yeah.
Well, Basil Hayden is Old Granddad.
Oh.
Yeah.
He's like Uncle Daddy.
Sure.
Got it.
Uncle Grandpa.
Grandpa. Uncle Daddy.
Hello.
I don't know. Like this, I didn't know what it was, but it did seem like this should be better than what I'm tasting. Like,
yeah, somebody in my chat said it's just expensive 60% bottled water.
That's a good point. That is good.
Yeah.
Oh well,
it is what it is. Could be worse. I don't want. Okay. Thanks, man. You get. He's going to have a better 10-year-old whiskey. Oh, okay. What have you been drinking recently? I got to make sure I'm keeping watch on time because we got to...
Not a lot. We talked about this on Patreon. Kind of been pouring a little light. It was fun. Last week after we recorded, me and April went to OBC. And I apologize because I don't remember my waiter's name. But he was really cool because I started out with like their... discounted pour for Friday. It was the Maker's Mark Heart release. It was $5 a pour.
Okay.
Wasn't bad. $5. I was like, I'm just gonna have.
I mean, heart release is just whatever.
It is, but
you know,
I mean, a normal Maker's Mark pour is usually like $5 anyway.
Yeah.
So, but after that, we kind of ate, and April had some cocktails. They hadn't released their new like Apocalypse.
Yeah, Wasteland.
Yeah. So, but she just
he's talking about their craft cocktail menu.
Yeah, they do like a theme. Like sometimes they have like video games, or sometimes it's like Harry Potter and stuff. Either way, but
only reason I know that that's what it is because Lucy and I are going tomorrow night, and I just looked it up last night.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Anyway. But what's cool about OBC is they're really fun when it comes to bourbon. Most of the waiters will have, you ask them a recommendation or something like this. So what I did, because he talked about how he's been on picks and things like that. So I said, okay, this is what I want. I said, waiter's choice, and I said $20 limit, like. And he's like, okay. So then he asked me, like, what do you like? And I was kind of in the mood for, like, kind of that, almost like a weeded profile, like strawberries, biscuits, maybe a little proof or something like that. He's like, okay. So he went back, and he comes back, and he's like, we don't have what I was going to give you. I was like, okay. I don't know what it was. He was like, it didn't.
Oh, he didn't even tell you?
No. But he said to make it up to you, because he was really excited to, for me to try it, but to make it up, I've got this for you. And I was like, okay. He's like, you can do it blind. I was like, I'll do it blind, half of it blind, and then you can tell me. So I was like, tried it. I was like, this is really good. Like, it tasted so good. It had some cherry.
Good times.
It reminded me of a Buffalo Trace. And I was like, I think this is a Buffalo Trace. And he's like, this is our Blanton's Gold pick.
Oh, snap.
And he gave it to me at a discounted price to meet my thing, because normally it would be more than $20. So I had OBC's Blanton's Gold pick. So good. So good.
Nice.
The guy knew me. He knew I like Blanton's.
He knew you. He listens to the show.
Apparently.
He might.
I don't know.
Could be.
It was good, though.
We're only one of, 100 different bourbon podcasts in Lexington anymore.
We're the only one.
Yeah, I know. Monday, I took a day off. Which is a little rare for me, but, most days I'm not really drinking that heavy anyway.
A little rare for your character?
But I have been enjoying my KOA hazmat pick.
Okay.
Of
course.
Bit, so.
You only need one pour of that to get you going.
Yeah, right. But Saturday, I did go to the Bluegrass Barrel. Speaking of Bluegrass Barrel Pickers, I went to their meetup at Hartfield & Co. In Paris, Kentucky, and had a good time, not just hanging out with people, including Mike Green, whom I introduced myself to erroneously, without realizing it was him.
I've been your all's middleman for so long.
I know, and we've never actually met in person, and you don't fully recognize somebody until you put two and two together that, like, oh, that's what you look like in person as opposed to your profile picture on social media. You know what I mean? Anyway, it was really good to meet Mike. It was really good to hang out with Jade and Jesse. Made just a bunch of new friends, folks that I have, talked to online for a long time as well. We did a pick too while I was there. You remember the big ornate hazmat bottle?
I do.
From Hartfield. We did another one of those picks as well. Oh. This one is not currently hazmat as far as we know. It could be after it sits through a summer, depending on how long they're going to let it sit. But it was excellent. Just a lot of fun. Got to try a little bit of what Hartfield's got out right now.
Sweet.
Too. And, Hartfield's had some ups and downs as far as, like, I'm concerned. Some of their weeded stuff right now, really interesting. I'm excited too. I made contact with the guys that own it. So they're likely going to be on the show soon as well.
Nice.
So we'll talk about that before too long. But otherwise, yeah.
Nice. Drinking water?
A lot of water.
There you go.
Always
drink your water, kids.
Yeah. Folks, we are welcoming back after what feels like 5 years, but it's probably only been a couple at this point. Joe Beatrice to the podcast. He's the founder, of course, of Barrell Craft Spirits. And leading into this, Joe was saying that he just listened to our interview that we did with Tripp last year, and he's kind of at a loss for what we're going to talk about today. But Joe, welcome back to the show, buddy. It's good to see you.
Thanks. I'm happy to be here. I'm sure we can find plenty to talk about.
There's going to be a couple things for sure, but I want to ask you first and foremost kind of about the state of, the basically the bourbon economy as it is at large. Things are a little tumultuous with how the the export of goods are looking. As it stands right now, how are you all, feeling about where, and I know that there have been pauses on, tariffs and everything. Are you all immediately feeling any of those impacts, or are you kind of like waiting and seeing in a lot of the same way that people kind of are across the board right now?
That's a good question. I can't tell you how many conversations I've had this week from a couple of people in the press I talk to periodically, and even we're on a call with our bankers, and the one of the questions always is, well, what do you think about what do you think about the tariffs? And I'm like, what do I think?
Sure. Well, that's a different conversation altogether.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the state. It is. Everybody is. I feel like everybody's sort of standing around looking at each other, going, "What do we do now?"
Sure.
And but in terms of the bourbon world, it's been. I mean, you got to put it a little bit into perspective, and maybe. I mean, before I started this business, I was always watching spirits trends, and right when we started, right around 20, I don't know, it would have been 2013 or 12, somewhere in there. I started going back and looking at longer term trends, and the category. So I start broad, and then we can get narrowed down real quick. But
sure.
Category is called adult beverages, and that includes beer, wine, spirits, and everything else, including RTDs is rolled into that. That curve, since I started tracking it, goes in one direction relative to population. People drink more, and there's more consumption, and there's more dollars generated, both in volume and in revenue. It continues in a curve. COVID created such an aberration in the curve. Like, the bump was so massive that the rebound from that was to be expected. I don't think anybody expected to be that fast, that dramatic, that sharp, but it happened, and so now I start looking at year over year. The trends are down across every category, pretty much every category. I mean, there's a little bit. The only thing that's buoying it a little bit is the RTD, which is it's a little bit of an aberration, because that's also not just not really ready to drink. It's also seltzer. There's a lot of things in there.
Right.
But I don't know. And, then you have the GLP-1 drugs, and you got cannabis. You have a lot of factors influencing everything. And so if we get it specific into whiskey, it has absolutely affected whiskey. And it's a really complex question, because there's distributor issues, there's retail issues, and there's consumer issues.
Right.
And there's product issues, and so you have all of these things going on, and then separate from that, you've got production, which was ramped up at a level that was just astronomical, and so there's a ridiculous amount of product out there still being produced. So it's a. I'm happy to go into any.
No. Of course, yeah. It of course is whatever you're comfortable with talking about too. But I mean, on a lot of what you're focused on, of course, as an NDP, is you're buying barrels, right? You're working with, I imagine, barrel brokers too, and the current sentiment that I keep hearing is that barrel brokers are kind of in a weird space, that they're in a glut, but also they can't move their barrels in a way that they were able to, even just this time last year. And so their prices are a lot cheaper than what they were, 12, 24 months ago. Have you seen any of that? Has that affected your pricing at all with Barrell, or are you all just kind of trudging along the way that you have been?
Yeah, it's a little nuanced. Like that impact, that sort of slowdown in the bulk market, has been going on for about a year and a half now, a little bit more than that. And the prior to 18 months, 24 months ago, it was a total buyer's market. I'm sorry,
Seller's market.
Seller's market.
Yeah.
because that's where the prices were getting crazy for stuff. And so everything is slowed down to the point where we're not in the market because we have plenty of barrels. Like our barrel inventory is we're sitting in a great place with our inventory because we bought at good prices, and so pretty much everything we have is appreciating, not going down. The glut that you're seeing is less than 5 years old, so you're seeing those prices they're crazy. I mean, you can buy barrels for really cheap at this point,
right?
Relatively speaking, and there's a lot of it out there. And so the brokers, I know a lot of them, and I also know a lot of the producers, and we deal with a lot of people all the time. And it's the same. I don't know how many of you talked to, but it's basically the same story, right?
Right.
I have a lot of barrels to sell. Nobody's buying the barrel, and the prices are going down. So, I mean, that's sort of where it is. And the market is different. Where people used to buy large, chunks of barrels. It's small amounts of barrels being traded at this point.
Sure.
It's just a reflection of the state of everything, in this business. So, and it's difficult. I mean, because you're seeing, I think that the sort of we're in an in between place. Like we're not aligned or owned by a strategic, but we compete with them. Our numbers are always in comparison to some of the larger strategics, but you're seeing hundreds of brands really having a hard time and losing distribution. So that is probably the most untalked about thing that is really significant, because if you don't have a route to market, you have to be selling at your location, and that's it. So you're seeing some of that transition happening. You're seeing with changes at RNDC and Southern for the larger distributors. Sure. All these things are contributing factors. So I know it's tough, and then you've got the the industry fighting D2C.
Sure. What set you all up for success in that capacity? Because being again a smaller business and truly being owned by the founders, being owned directly by you all. I mean, that kind of seems what it sounds like to me. But I'm curious as opposed to some of your direct competitors. How did that work out for you all?
Yeah, I mean, it was clear earlier on that we were headed to some issues. So we maintain alignment, in terms of our cost structure and everything. So we made some hard decisions early on, and that prompted questions of like, wow, what's going on with them? Well, what's going on with us is getting out ahead of the market, and sort of seeing things. And we're not out of the clear. Nobody is in a good place right now. It's a really difficult market to be competing in. But I think also for us, we were a little bit larger. We have a truly dedicated following. I mean, our customers they're in it. And so we have some awareness. Plus, we're top of mind a lot of the times. We're producing a lot of products. We're still doing a lot of innovation. So we've changed the way we sort of go to market on innovation a little bit, but we still are doing a lot of it. So it's been we're just changing the way we compete more than anything, really.
Let's talk real quick about, not real quick necessarily, but let's move into talking about two of your all's most recent products that we also drank on, reviewed last week. We're going to start with the double oak, double barreled 5-year age-stated foundation. Talk first about, because I had this thought that it was interesting that y'all moved into finishing on the foundation before having a rye out to complement the bourbon. What was that thought process like for you all?
I can't remember. So I don't know if talked with you about this. I don't want to duplicate, but so we've been for about almost 10 years now. We've been doing lots of maturation experiments. So have we talked about this with you guys?
Likely, yeah.
Yeah.
But there's always new people who haven't heard it before too. So
we really got into the nuance of what it means to work with wood, and we have done tests from air dried staves from 2 and 3 years old, from kiln dried wood to different kinds of oak, and then different barrels, different producers making the barrels, raising the barrels, and then putting in hundreds of different whiskeys, age, state, mash bill. So, and everything from toast to different chart levels. So we have a fairly deep experiential and knowledge base of what each of these things do. Like what does a 21% 10-year-old bourbon taste like in a heavy toast barrel? So we know, and so that's sort of the basis of what drives everything. And so we design with intent. So in this case, we had the base level foundation that is, to me, it is a super solid 100 proof whiskey. I mean, that's a Wednesday drinking bourbon for me. It's like makes great cocktails, and it's really good. It's really good neat or on the rocks. So, I mean, which I don't really drink with ice. I drink it on the rock, either neat or in a cocktail.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to really push more on the bourbon front first, because we thought that there was a lot more opportunity there. And so then with the double barrel, the frigid maturation, we played around with a lot of different things. It's actually not even the same. It's not the exact same blend. The blend is different on this. It is foundation, but it's different. You'll taste the similarities to it, but it's just different. So we wanted to expand the footprint in the bourbon first. And this, we wanted to find our double barrel, our double oak product. We wanted it to be accessible. It ranges everything from, undrinkable oaked to you can't really taste it. And so our intent was to get to a point on this where we thought that the threshold of the oakiness of it was really there and was accessible to people. So because we really see a lot of new drinkers coming into the category, into our brand, through this product. It's a more accessible price point. And also, it has all the layered nuance of our regular cask strength products, but it's not as challenging. To me, it is the perfect bourbon, because it's it's every day. So that was part of it. The rye, we've got some things we're already working on with rye that I think are going to be. I really like what I tasted.
This is my baby right here, the rye batch 1 that I've been milking for a long time.
Yeah, that was a great. Isn't that? I love that product.
Yeah, I'll probably have some here shortly. But like you touched on something that I always let Perry get in the business talk and the smart stuff. Like, like I'm the snack cake guy, the pouring it over. People tell me stop wasting whiskey over snack cakes and stuff. But you touched on something, and I'm going to be completely honest. Like, how do you deal with somebody like me if he obviously listened. You listened last week. You probably heard me like something about this. Like you said, this is something you made to get people into your brand. But if you got somebody like me who's been there since like rye 1, like I'm sitting up here thinking like I want it all to be special, and then you get a Wednesday night bourbon and you're like, okay, it's decent, but like you're going to have people like me who I'm like, oh, I know what Barrell can do. Is this one for me, or do I leave this on the shelf for the person to get into Barrell? Like, is that something that like you think about a lot, or is like, or you just like, hey, everybody has their opinion, they can say that, but like that's kind of how I felt about this. Was like you said, it's a good whiskey, but it's a Wednesday pour as opposed to like, hey, I got Barrell Rye Batch 1, or I've got like this first Dovetail or something like that. I'm kind of working my way backwards with Barrell as opposed to somebody like this who's working their way up. You know what I mean? Like, and and I don't want to be negative on it all, but I also want to be honest. So how do you deal with that kind of like criticism?
Well, okay. The starting point, I think, we're not, nobody is one dimensional in terms of what they drink. Right. Yeah. And it's mood and setting and what you want to do. So there's different times, different places.
And the people who are very boring. Oh, yeah, they're exceptionally boring people who are only drinking, Jack and Coke, or they're only drinking Miller Lite, or, I've met a few people who are like that. You know what I mean? But anyway, sorry, continue, Joe.
Well, but yeah, I mean, some people, look, I mean, that works. That was the market for 100 years.
Of course.
And, there was really this sort of a renaissance of bourbon drinking and whiskey drinking that happened. It started about 12, 13 years ago. And Woodford really did usher in something different. I mean, they really, to their credit. I mean, Chris Morris invented that thing. I mean, that was really different and unique. And that's sort of the trend. And not to get into the business again, I'll get back to your question, but you started seeing people wanting that. So there are all the people who want to drink the same thing over and over again, but there are people who want something different. So that's the first point. The second point is we don't put anything in the bottle that we don't think is exceptional. We don't need to. I mean, because as we're blending, somebody asked us one time, what happens when something doesn't work? I'm like, we put it over there and use it for something else because we'll blend something that will complement that differently. So this product is something that I think is exceptional in this criteria that we had. And it's funny because it's funny you say that because so many of our core drinkers are like, I love this. I really like it. And that's great. The other, I want to ask you a question though first. Have you had it since you tasted it last week?
Just now.
Okay. Because I was going to say, next time you taste our products, you got to cleanse your palate before. If you eat an egg salad sandwich and Japanese whiskey, and then go right into these products, it might be influencing your palate.
I had some Coke Zero and some water, Joe. Come on.
You know how we deal with that. We actually reset with coffee grounds or coffee beans and apple and stuff like that all the time because it zeroes out the palate. Because you don't want. I mean, sometimes we have to be really clear, but also we usually taste in the morning when we're doing blending.
It's actually 4 in the morning when we record.
Yeah, could you imagine if we did? Yeah.
No, I like you calling us out like that.
No, I mean that's completely fair, and I mean that is the, I don't know that can happen. The what am I trying to say? The occupational hazard of what we wind up doing at times, with the show.
I'm always I try to be responsible. Perry's not the responsible one.
What do you mean?
I'm just playing.
Okay.
Do you ever I think I might have asked this before, but do you ever eat something, whether it's a dessert or a meal, and you're like, what you have in store, what the barrels you got, and you're like, I want to recreate that, or I want to make a pairing or something like that. Is that ever in the process, or are you just kind of living in the moment, you put something in there that tastes good, I can go this way? Do you ever go in pre-thinking I'm going to make a cherry cordial or something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, so when we're doing a good example of that is when we're doing a batch, we are, first of all, we taste everything blind. Right, so we take the bias out, and when we start planning, we whiteboard profiles of what we're looking for, and then we back test that against previous batches to make sure that we're not replicating anything and we're doing things. So, and it's really interesting the way that Trip, Nick, and I blend, because we all have different preferences. Like when we're tasting, we can almost always predict who's going to like which one over another because of our palates, and so like there are things like I love tropical notes in bourbon. To me, that's the highest good if we can find those things. That and cherry cola. When I can find
now you're talking.
Cherry. We had a barrel one time. Chip and I found that was in a rick house, and we tasted it. And it was so unbelievable. We took the barrel out of the rick house and stuck it at our place, and we just kind of had it hidden away there. And we grab a little bit every once in a while. And somebody was there and and tasted it, and we had to sell it to him. I mean, it was
no.
It was the saddest moment of my life. It was really not the sad. It was a sad moment.
Did you keep some though? Did you keep some?
A couple bottles, yeah.
Okay. I could see the face. I know that face. That's I just got a snack cake that I don't want to share with anybody, and I'm going to hide one before they take the whole box. So that's what I do with Christmas tree cakes with my kids. I hide them from them.
Yeah, and it's funny because I gravitate to the sweet, and so we did a pairing one time with Girl Scout cookies.
Oh yeah, okay. Now we're talking. Yeah,
this is right up your alley.
Do you ever just pour it over the snack and let it like blend in like that? Try it. If you haven't, try the pour over. I'm telling you, this is how I do pairings. I take a little bit of each, it kind of mixes in your mouth. You're okay. Then you kind of get reset, and then you take the snack and you pour it right onto it. I call it the pour over. If you make a mess, it's okay. But it really is. Like, people think I'm crazy and they think I'm just being stupid and wanting people to view, but there is a difference in taste when you pour it directly on there. Like, I mean, there's restaurants we've seen pour like stuff over, drizzle it over, but there is a different taste you get that I think is more like appropriate for a pairing when you've got a little bit of whiskey either soaking into the snack or like hovering above it. You just try it sometime.
He might know because we did do it with the egg salad sandwiches.
If he saw that part,
yeah.
We're not talking about the egg salad sandwich right now.
Not to keep
Perry.
harping on it and calling ourselves out too.
We're not talking about that right now.
I'm gonna talk about it a little bit.
Try the pour over.
Going back to last week's reviews too. I did just pour for us the ice wine finish, which is a lot more. I think regardless of where our palates were last week, I think if we're gonna post a retraction,
you can be critical.
No.
You can be. You have to understand. You asked a question one thing about being competitive. I'm the most competitive person on the planet. Okay? I'm not gonna lie. It kills me. It really irritates me when I see things out there and I'm like, oh, that's really good. I'm glad we inspired you, but not really. I'm like,
sure.
Okay, that's okay. But we talk about it and I watch everything I can, and it's like I do take it all personally.
Sure.
I mean, it's human nature.
But
I'm sorry, Joe.
But I will say though, like, I enjoyed this last week more than Eric did, and I still think that I enjoy this quite a bit now too, though. I think that there is a good balance of these really kind of subtle sweet notes with more herbal and floral things going on with it that really in and of itself, it's nothing that I've ever really had. I mean, ice wine is not a finish that you really find on the market at all. And I like it quite a bit. I mean, I don't have an issue with it. But I mean, you said it in the review. But Eric said it in the review.
Okay.
No. I'm not like apologizing or backtracking. I'm saying that what I said last week too. But Eric said last week that it just wasn't for him.
Yeah, it's just not for me. I mean, I've been a very open about finishing fatigue, I guess. So
I agree.
I go up and down. I will be honest, and this is just not blowing smoke. Getting Dovetail, the first release of that kind of set me on my first journey of finishing, really seeing what's in there, and now we got so many finishes. It's like I tend to just go back to like the rye one, or like you were saying, those blends. Like I'm still milking batch 18 bourbon. Like this was a cherry cola like cake to me right there. So I don't know.
I got your palate. I got your palate, Alan. I know what you like.
Okay.
let me just finish what I was saying. It's okay. Look, I mean that. Let me just connect the thought. Yeah, I'm really competitive and I do take it personally. But you know what? Everybody has a totally different palate and they like different things. Where I was going with originally was we produce what we think is the best possible product we can out of what we're doing. And that's what goes in there. So if we don't like it, it doesn't happen.
Sure.
And and people not everybody likes it. Like Armida to me did you like Armida? Did you have it?
I did. Yeah, no, I did. Okay. Yeah.
Because that was one of our products that was incredibly divisive.
It was very divisive. I remember. Yeah.
Or didn't like it. And I loved it because I love pear, and the way that pear eau de vie we used.
I remember.
Was just we still have some.
Okay.
Spectacular that we've been keeping around for another project. We'll figure it out. But
but I mean, you are right. You can't please everybody, and it's like, but sometimes it's like when you're on this side of things, it's like I want to be truthful, but also I'm like I don't want to make them upset, but I want them to be. And it's like I'm just having this internal struggle sometimes, and I don't want to feel like the person that's always like, no matter what, I'm going to tell them what they want to hear and all that. So I appreciate you bringing that up.
And we don't want to hear that. I have to tell you, it was really important. When I first started this business, I took our product to the people who I thought would be the harshest critics. I wanted to know what they thought.
Yeah.
And the time we used to call them bloggers, right? I mean, and that was only like a few years ago. And it was right. Yeah. And so we give it to the bloggers, and we really listen. We do listen to the feedback because we do want to hear what people think. We're not in this thing to create a product that we're not trying to change the world. We're blending whiskey.
Sure.
And we want to make everybody happy. And so, but we blend to what we think is good, but we do listen to feedback, and we do factor that into what we're thinking. But let's go back to ice wine for a second, because it's funny because it's one of those things that I really like. And to me, ice wine pairing, I love ice wine at the end of dinner with cheese.
Interesting.
And the stinkier the cheese, ice wine, the better it is. That's a pairing. That's a pairing. That to me is aside from the chocolate lava cake.
Sure.
Aside from that thing, right?
My palate just recently developed to the point where I started liking stinky cheese. Just recently. I guess I'm starting to get to that point in my life where really bold, weird flavors are working for my palate. But I've never had just ice wine before. So now I'm going to have to.
Yeah, and your palate's, first of all, your palate changes all the time. But
of course,
it evolves. It's funny. Early, many years ago, I was talking to a Scotch producer, and they were telling me that for the most part, they ignore people under 30 because people under 30, this is a gross generalization, right? It don't like Scotch. And I said, maybe not, but that's an interesting it's an interesting way to look at the world. Like if that's, okay. So, and then that, I'll tell you, so the origin of sort of finishing was the first finished whiskey I drank was a sherry finished Scotch. And I hated it. I'm like, this is terrible. Like it's sherry,
Band-Aids.
Scotch,
yeah,
and I don't like either one of them here. And so it was. We really thought about this and said, I want to. And Dovetail to me was one of the first experiments that I wanted to create something that if you couldn't identify what the finish was, but it enhanced it, I would be happy. And that's why we moved to it. That's why there's a subtlety of our finishing that's a little bit different. That we're trying not to we don't want the sherry to ever come through.
Right.
Like I'm like we either just released or about to because I'm like in time I'm working in the future, and I think we're just shipping in the market our cask finish series, the PX one.
Oh wow.
And, yeah, and I'm curious what you think, because I think that might hit your sweet tooth. But it's funny because ice wine is very sweet. I really need to dig into this. I really need to dig into you and the ice wine one. I'm really curious about this. And it's not. I mean, it's not. I'm not trying to change your mind. I'm really curious about what you're getting.
I think. Yeah, I want to hear a little bit more about your actual like notes and where you find your palate on it as well.
So you just poured this a little bit ago.
Yep.
And to me, it's got that, it's almost got that feeling of if your parents tried to hide something healthy in a dessert. Like you can see the sweetness getting ready to help, but like maybe there's like it's like a vegetable like note or something I'm getting, that it's like it's almost there, and then it's like, are you tricking me right now? Are you trying to make me eat healthy? Like I get almost like there's almost like a carrot note in there, but it's not like that sweet carrot cake.
I think he's talking about the like herbal notes that I'm getting at.
I mean, that's just how I'm thinking.
I think no. I totally understand what you're saying, but I think that like we're not indifferent in what we're talking about. I think it literally is just getting down to how we interpret it and what we prefer.
I have the palate of a 5-year-old.
It's not that at all.
For me, it translates more into the fruit realm.
Sure.
And
yeah.
This is just interesting because I mean, you're going to, for you, it's going more toward a vegetable flavor, which is, I don't know.
It's like a carrot. I don't know. I feel like I'm at therapy right now.
Carrot cake.
Therapy with Joe. I don't know. Like,
and so, how does that make you feel?
Yeah,
it makes me feel like you're trying to hide something from me. Like you're like trying to make me eat healthy. Like, what we're going to get this guy to like this finish. We're going to do whatever we can.
It's stevia instead of full strength sugar.
Know. That's just how I feel. Like I just get like. It's almost like it hits right at one point. I think it's going to be like a sweet, like carrot cake, but it goes into almost like.
I love that.
Yeah, a healthy note. I don't know. Like
I love carrot cake.
Here's something for you, Ramona, my dog. You just saw there.
Yes.
Oh God, you're going to tell me to eat dog food.
I gave up years ago trying to like hide pills in food. Like, I don't know how dogs can spit out, how they can eat the cheese out of a pill and spit
the pill out. Yeah,
it doesn't matter what it is. And so I went the other direction with her, and all I do now is I take a glob of peanut butter and stick the pill on top, and she eats it like nothing. And it's because I'm not trying to hide it. So how that relates here is, if we were trying to hide something, I'd probably just hit you over the head with it.
It makes sense.
Okay. You know what? Next time we're gonna do this at our place. Okay. And we're gonna taste a bunch of stuff. I'm really.
I think that sounds great. We've always needed to come to Barrell anyway and visit and just see the facilities as it is. But I mean, the funny thing though is that like when you talk about like hiding something, there's virtually nothing to be hidden.
I didn't say Joe is particularly trying to hide
vegetables.
I
know. It's just like the thought process behind it.
This is what I have to deal with, Joe. Like he's taking it literal. No, it tastes like somebody's trying to hide something from me.
You did want to ask Joe though about in the New Year blend.
The Texas whiskey.
How much Texas whiskey was in
Joe,
there?
You're going to have. That's another therapy session for me and Texas whiskey.
Well, I've just, and I'll tell you, I'll preface it what we make, but what happened with you and Texas whiskey in your?
I've been burned so many times, and I've had people try to tell me that I would like this, and they blinded me. They've done it, and it got to a point where they just gave me the worst whiskey ever, and like they just wanted to be mean to me. Like
we are
literally, I've been sent some of the worst samples ever. Once people were like, "We need to get you to like Texas whiskey." I don't know if it's just like that. Some of it's hyper aged with the heat and it's younger. I don't know if it reminds me of something else. Maybe there's past trauma or something. I don't know, but there is just something about it. Like I just can't. Like, I don't know. Like, but I know you probably are thinking of a way to use it in the blend. But yeah, that's what I was curious about. Like, how do you feel about Texas whiskey?
Let's go back. I think that a couple of things. I think first, what you said is correct. Because of the intense heat, it does accelerate the maturation, but it's also not in the same, the difference between aging or maturing whiskey in Scotland versus Kentucky versus Texas is really different. So in Texas, it's accelerated, one of the artifacts of, I think, most of the Texas distillers will probably tell you is that they'll lose a lot of whiskey because it's so hot, right? I mean, they'll lose it quicker, so they want to use it to keep some yield. So we've looked at, we sit in a position where we taste lots of stuff, and we turn down lots of whiskey, and we only buy it when there's something interesting about it. So this whiskey that we found, we really liked, and then we bought a bunch, and we'll use it in pieces wherever there's a nuance to it that we can use to balance out something else or to change something, enhance something is more the right word. So, but going back to the concept with New Year was always, we wanted to look at the year and look at all the things that we did in blends and say, can we use something from all of those? Is something that would contribute? And the answer is not always. So if it doesn't, we'll use such a minimal amount of it that it's not apparent. But but on the other hand, the way that we're doing the blends, and we blend that whiskey in stages. So we make components. So if there are 30 different whiskeys in there, we might make 4 different components out of those, and each one of those components might be made of 5 or 8 whiskeys that we then sort of blend until we get to the point. So the short answer to your question is, the amount of Texas whiskey in that is so infinitesimal.
I knew that was going to be the answer too, is the thing.
Well, you could have given me a heads up about it.
I tried to.
I don't know. I appreciate you answering that though, because like it is an ongoing thing with me. Like it's a random like string where people just keep sending me blinds, and they're like, "You're going to like this," and I'm like, "This is Texas whiskey."
And to be fair, we have had some truly abhorrent Texas whiskey. I mean, there has been some where you would think that a rotted corpse sat in the cask before whiskey actually went into it. I mean,
they're mean to us, Joe.
We try to be nice to everybody. We just,
I know.
we just won't buy it rather than, look, and here's the thing. Everybody's trying to do the best, and some of the products, and especially like in some old pot still stuff, it's just not there. And
of course,
it's just,
it happens.
It's what they did, there's you've got, a lot of times you've got contamination, and which is probably the biggest factor in the fermentation, because that's never blended away or aged away or anything. There's nothing you can do about that.
Right.
And so, Tripp is the eagle eye on a bad fermentation. He can smell it. You open the bottle and he's like, no. But
my last question.
Good.
Do you have any more of Rye Batch 1?
I'll look around.
I just had some. It's so good.
It's funny. I'm really glad you like it. It was one of I have to tell you, behind that story, behind Batch 1 was, it was at a time when pretty much rye was 95.5, right? I mean, it was rye. If you want to taste rye, you just taste, 5-year-old MGP 95.5, which is
right.
One of the best. It is an outstanding product, right? I mean, they are one of the best producers in the world of making whiskey. They are. I mean, and the irony is, when we first started, it was like, it's in the end, there's MGP in this. I don't want it. It's that
Right.
institutional crap. And I'm like, this is really good whiskey. And then 8 years later, it's like, do you have any single barrels or any MGP old stuff? But anyway, so we intentionally did not want to make a 95.5 product. That's why if you look, I can't, isn't it, it's like, there's a lot of 51 in there.
Does it?
I don't even know if it says.
Well, I don't. This is one of the earlier batches where you all didn't break down what's on it. I mean, the furthest it goes is that it's the youngest is 4 years, 6 months.
Yeah. Yes. And so we use, that's all American. And I mean, you know how many releases we've done? And
true. The fact that you can recall any of this is pretty astonishing, to be honest with you.
Keeping you on your toes, Joe.
I'm trying to find this, if we have it anyway. I can't get to it quickly. But what was interesting about that was we intentionally went with several different mash bills of varying degrees of percentage of rye, up to I think we even went higher. But there's a couple of different ones in there, and we intentionally wanted to blend something away from the traditional 95 one. Batch one rye to me it's always a great one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have an idea on something. It's not. It's just something that we played with. I can't. It's too far from production because, but it is so close. It'll be a very unique. If we pull it off, it'll be a very unique rye. I'll be curious, and I think it might appeal to your palate.
Okay, well, I'll be ready.
That's good to hear.
I'll say it's not that it's not going to be for a while, but yeah, it's we have like 100 projects.
I'm like a little kid, Joe. Like you tell me now, I'll remember it for like 3 years from now.
Trying to get
remember that time you said I would get that toy or something like that.
Yeah, trying to get a peek at your Christmas presents. But the most recent batch of rye was batch 4, right? Yes. So you all are taking a lot more time in between batches with your ryes as opposed to, most recent batch of bourbon was 36.
Yeah. Rye's rye's an odd one. It's almost like in the last year, rye consumption has gone way down.
Interesting.
Why. Yeah, I think it's more. I'm sure somebody will say that's not correct, but from where I sit and what I see, the amount of rye that's put out there is far less than it was a year ago, and I think that you're seeing a little bit of a consumer trend away. Bourbon Empire, Reed Mueller's book, he talks about rye and bourbon, the differences. I love that he said bourbon's a symphony and rye is a jazz band. It's a one note study, and I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. I like that a lot.
That's a good one.
I look forward to whenever the next batch of rye comes out, but also, I mean, every batch of bourbon has always been just this. Like, and I know that we talked about this the first time I had you on, and we talk about this with Trip too. I've talked about this both times that I had Trip on, that everybody's got their like favorite batches. And so I had always kind of am looking forward to like the next batch to go like, oh, is this my next favorite batch too? And I remember just with 36, it was another one of those hitters where I was like, it was incredible. It was one of those that kind of like went back to, the era of like, the first 10 and then like 15 through 18, where it was like
21's good too.
21 is incredible.
I have that over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had, we were cleaning out some of the storage because, we have to keep retains and stuff. And we always, we sick a few cases away. And right around the time of Kentucky Bourbon Festival, we found two things. We found 5 or 6 cases of 21 and I think 2 cases of the first gray label.
Wow.
And we just sold them. I mean, we put them out there and sold them. I walked out one day of the store and I'm like,
what happened here?
Where'd that come from?
Yeah.
So that,
Surprise.
I said, did somebody go to my closet and take that out?
Joe, we didn't want to tell you about it, but we knew you weren't going to miss it.
On the other hand, I am really of the mind that we produce bourbon to drink, not to sit on a shelf and get to us.
Oh, of course.
Just drink it. It's not, you don't need to save it forever. I mean, it's not going to go bad, but you might as well drink it and enjoy it.
Well, that's the funny thing that we run into is that we do get sent so many different things, but also we're bourbon consumers too. We have our favorites that we wind up buying, and so we wind up with a stockpile of so many different things that, yes, even though we do have half a bottle of 36 left, it's still one of the best things that we got sent last year, and we did absolutely love it. So it's taking a little bit longer to get through it, but it will eventually be killed. It's
Yeah, and I agree with Joe. It's like, and just to add to what he said, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if I don't feel the same way you feel about this. Like, we're still having a conversation. Like, the thing that made me and Joe talk about ice wine finish was the whiskey.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's like,
for sure,
that's the cool thing about it. Like, at the end of the day, Barrell bourbon has so many different things that you can either I like, he likes. We can at least talk about it. And I think people forget about that. It gets all into like, people, one person says this, one person says that, you get mad, but it's a conversation. And like, I just keep whiskey fun, like keep it fun, like keep it, the conversation going.
Yeah.
Maybe this is like the kindergarten for the world stage, right? We just can talk about it.
Yeah, let's just talk about it.
I agree.
Not hate each other because you didn't like it. We'd be in a better place. So we're going to use whiskey to bring the world together.
Exactly. There we go. You heard it here first.
I hope so. And this will be the last thing I think we talk about before we let you go too. But I talked about this with Chad from his Bourbon Night a couple weeks ago. That there is this, of course, increasing divisiveness that we keep feeling currently, especially in the U.S. And it feels like, even though bourbon was supposed to be the great unifier for so long, there are a lot of factors that lead to us feeling like we can't always sit down and let those factors that might separate us one way or another over a glass of whiskey kind of shed themselves. And I think that there are a lot of people who are actively trying to make that not the case in one way or another. And I don't know. I wish that, we could, in very, kindergarten terms, like use whiskey to bring us back together for sure. But I don't know.
It's whiskey. It's whiskey.
It's whiskey. Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, just, what?
We shouldn't take it so seriously.
As we established today, you guys' number one pick is ice wine, and we're going to say that.
It's Eric's favorite whiskey of all time. He's going to drink the whole bottle tonight.
Joe, I'm waiting on that cherry cola finish. Okay, so let's go.
Joe, thank you so much for coming back on the show. I know you got to get out of here in just a second, but this has been great. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show, and
it's really good to see you guys.
Great to see you too.
We'll do it sometime in there.
Yeah, get your couch ready, because I'm going to be laying there and we're going to have a therapy session together. So, well, I'll tell you how I really feel about it.
No, I think you've said enough. I think you're good.
We'll be off camera. It's fine.
Joe, cheers, buddy. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you.
That was a heck of an interview.
Where's Joe?
He's gone.
I need to talk about stuff.
Why? You already did.
I need to talk about more stuff. Okay, he's my unofficial
He's
therapist.
Your new therapist.
Yeah, it's true.
We also did a little debrief for Patreon too, if you want to go hear that.
You pulled out some more bottles there.
I did. You all know we're fans of Barrell anyway. Even if Eric had some things to say about the ice wine.
I'm the one to blame on this. Jesus.
I like the ice wine finish.
Yeah, but we did 3 bottles. I know some other ones you were a little iffy
I was a
about.
little iffy on it. Yeah, that's true.
Either way, they got a lot of stuff.
They do,
I mean,
and there's plenty for anybody who is just curious about their brand if they want to go in and just try different things. It's there for you. So give them a shot. You can buy it online as well. Barrelbourbon.com. Barrel is spelled with 2 R's and 2 L's.
ooh, double.
Yeah, for
I should have asked him about
anybody
that.
who didn't know. How have we never asked them about that?
I think he said it before.
I don't know if he has.
I feel like I've heard this story before.
Maybe. I don't
I
know.
don't know.
Shoot.
Why do I spell my name with a C instead of a K? No.
I thought that's pretty normal. Anyway, whatever. We're moving on to barrel rings. It's the portion of the show that you can be a part of by calling in or leaving us a text message or voicemail. Whatever.
Call in, leave a text message.
Yeah.
Voice text.
Leave us a voicemail or send us a text message to the number 859-428-8253. And this week's voicemail comes from our buddy Jared.
No, this guy.
Who initially earlier in the week tried to call in, and this is what happened.
Oh, good job.
And then he tried a second time, and this is what happened.
Still nothing.
And then he tried a third time, and this is what happened.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Oh, there he is.
Jared here. I had a question for you.
Okay.
Over the weekend, I was watching the 89 Batman movie called Batman 2.0,
Uh-huh.
probably. I think it was like the first Batman after like the
Adam West.
campy series.
Mhm.
The Michael Keaton Batman and Jack Nicholson is the Joker, did a fantastic job. Jack Palance, classic movie, great stuff. But in that movie, Batman actively murders people. He kills a bunch of the Joker's henchmen various times, and then, really just at the end of the movie, just drops Joker off a building, pretty much. I mean, you could call it manslaughter, maybe. He tied a brick to his ankle, but it is one of the few instances, one of the only other instances I can remember, that Batman kills people. In pretty much every other movie line, he is actively against murder. He actually stops, unlike the Batman Superman series that DC's doing now, he's preventing people from murdering other people. So, just wonder if you guys noticed that, and if you can think of any other instances of, Batman being a murderer. All right.
I think that's a thing in like every comic book. Like even if you read a comic book, there's so many panels that you got to say that guy's not breathing.
I mean,
anymore.
yes. Now, the general understanding is that Batman's mantra in the comic book, though, is that he does not kill, right?
This isn't the comic book.
I understand. I'm just clarifying based on what you just
This
said.
is Sleepless in Seattle.
No.
What?
In the movies, though, it is pretty well known that he does not abide by the same principles.
Different universe.
I will point to a couple of different instances. First of all, Jared already mentioned the Batman 89 movie, and also the follow-up to it, Batman Returns, where it is very obvious that he does not care and he kills people. A very good example is the scene where he is fighting off a bunch of the Penguin's goons. And he drops like a bomb in the hand of one of the clown guys or something.
Wow.
And he just kind of smiles and
It just was the hand though.
yeah.
It didn't. He's still alive.
Okay, sure. If you also go and watch Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, or whatever that movie was called, doesn't matter.
I'm not going to go back and watch that.
The extended cut's not too bad.
I'm not watching it.
Batman just pancakes guys throughout that movie. I mean, he's branding people. He's running over them with the Batmobile. He is shooting through walls. I mean, they're dead. There's no way they're not dead.
It's comic book universe. They're okay.
It's bad.
They're just in a hospital for a long time.
They definitely didn't have kids that they were trying
They're
to
just
support.
in a hospital for a long time.
Whatever. Hello. Eric and I just bumped knees for a second. There's also I think indirectly or directly, I can't remember exactly, a result of Batman killing in the Batman v Superman movie, that happened because Zack Snyder saw a Mr. Sunday Movies video called Every Time Batman Kills. Like a Batman kill count video. Do you know about this?
Mm-mm.
So Mr. Sunday Movies made a video called like Batman kill count in movies or something. And it basically just went through like every time in movies that Batman murdered somebody. And so Zack Snyder like saw that video, and the reason we know is because he got interviewed after the movie came out, and he was like, yeah, I saw this video on YouTube, and this guy like pointed out all the times Batman like killed. And on the Weekly Planet, James and Mesa are talking about it, and they're like, you realize that Zack Snyder like saw this video, and you're the reason why Zack Snyder let Batman kill in Batman v Superman. And I mean, it's like over 100 murders that he commits on screen or something. It's crazy. Also, two more things, and we'll move on. One, Adam West was not the first on silver screen version of Batman. There were serials that were in the 40s.
Serials.
Like you have to go to the movies every week in like different installments.
Gotcha.
The first one was in 1943. It was just called Batman. He was played by Lewis Wilson. The second one was in 1949. It was called Batman and Robin. He was played by Robert Lowry. That's the one I've seen. It's really not very good, but it's also from 1949. And I don't know. I've seen it a few times. It's kind of endearing. It's just very low budget, of course. Instead of, you know how like Batman is usually portrayed as like having his ears go like straight up in the air.
Are they floppy?
They're like on the side of his head and they go out kind of like,
I kind of like that.
Like an alien or something. It's very interesting.
Okay.
I would encourage you to go and watch it. Also, the first time Superman shows up in Batman v Superman, he flies through the wall and just obliterates a regular human man into what I imagine as a pile of goo.
No. Superman can do things at a rate of speed that we can't see, so he moved around a little bit. That guy is just knocked out.
All right.
I don't know why everybody gives Superman a hard time. We don't even know what he can do. He literally knows. He can make a split-second move, and that person is fine.
Okay. You might be right.
I do want to watch old Batman now.
You should always watch old Batman stuff.
Well, I mean, I always watch old Batman stuff. It's just been a while since I've done.
Have you ever seen the animated Batman movies with Adam West?
No.
They made them in 2016 and 2017.
No, I didn't watch those.
They're actually really interesting. They're pretty good.
I kind of want to watch what is it?
Mask of the Phantasm?
Yeah,
It's so good. Whew. Oh, Kevin Conroy's Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. Anyway, do you have any high proof hot takes?
No, I'm good.
I haven't done anything to offend you this week. That's fair.
Everything's went well.
Good. That's wonderful. Tips and bits, though.
Tips and bits.
It's a segment of the show where we recommend things we've been watching, reading, listening to, enjoying, that we want you to enjoy also. And I got a few things.
I got a couple things.
Let's talk about it.
All right. You want me to go first?
Yeah.
All right. So, I don't think I talked about this, or did I? Did I talk about Captain America?
You did not.
No. So,
I have not seen it.
I'm going to talk about two Marvel things right now. Actually, two Marvel things and Turtles. If you saw I've been trying to do something different with Whiskey Mutant on Instagram. And I've been doing like some quick pairings, like whether it's a snack or a comic book. I did The Last Ronin pairing the other day. That's a Ninja Turtle comic book. I don't want to give any spoilers. It's basically if you grew up with turtles, well, here we are. But I watched Captain America, the newest one. Everybody knows it's got Red Hulk in it. I will just say, without any spoilers.
Can I just say Red Hulk was spoiled for me back in like March of last year.
I even got spoiled
Because
by it. I
of-
don't even watch
no.
trailers.
Because of a McDonald's toy
Mm,
that my daughter got.
nice. Way to go, Eden.
And she goes, Daddy, I want you to have this. And it was the Red Hulk.
And you're like, what the?
I was so mad. Now, I'm not going to see Captain America for a while.
I think you'll enjoy what I have to say.
Okay,
here.
fair enough.
I think it was fun to watch in the theaters. There were some good scenes that were like theatric, but don't. Let me take that back. You'll have to edit that. Don't beat yourself up if you didn't watch it in the theater.
Yeah, I'm not
This
making any
this
effort
was
to go see it right now.
easily a straight to Disney Plus movie.
Yeah.
It was fun. It wasn't anything bad, but it wasn't our normal, like, over the top Marvel movie.
Yeah.
I still stand by Captain America Winter Soldier being the best Captain America movie ever.
Now let me preface something real quick. Just I need to say something. I'm sorry. The reason I am not going to see it in the theaters is not because of Anthony Mackie as Captain America. I love
No,
Anthony Mackie as
he's
Captain
great.
America. I'm just not going to see it right now.
No. Why
It's-
would you know? No.
I just wanted to clarify that.
He's great. I don't have any.
I have no problem with
I
that.
have
at
no
all.
no issue with Falcon turning into Captain America. Like, that's not the thing. I just think this movie itself felt like either a straight to Disney Plus or we got a 3-part like special event.
Yeah, I just like there are other things I would rather
There wasn't enough
spend my time doing.
Yeah, there wasn't enough to make me feel like I had to watch this in the theaters.
Mhm.
So I would say
That's what I
you're
keep
okay.
hearing.
Just wait, watch it. It's fine. It's fun. I think you'll have a good time if you're a fan of Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Now, let's get into the bread and butter here. There's 2 episodes of a show that just came out on Disney Plus called Daredevil Reborn. And
I thought it was Born Again.
Born Again, sorry. Isn't Reborn in one of the comics?
Yeah, isn't that the
Born
Frank
Again.
Miller?
Yeah, Born Again. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. Anyway, Disney Plus, Daredevil, new series. It's a continuation of the Netflix series, which was phenomenal. I was nervous.
I was extremely nervous.
I was nervous because there was something about. So Netflix did a great job with Daredevil. All those, vigilantes, the Punisher, Iron Fist, all that stuff. They did a great job. Daredevil definitely stuck out as the best. So I was nervous about this. And I will tell you, within the first 5 to 10 minutes, I was still nervous because they kind of, I'm not going to spoil anything. They kind of Marvel Disney Plus'd it up with like an opening sequence of him. Like, it almost felt like it wasn't like that. Netflix did it like real gritty. It didn't feel like CGI or anything. And they gave him this very like superhero,
Like Gumby.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no. After that though, my goodness.
Yeah.
These first 2 episodes of Daredevil were absolutely amazing. There is a diner scene between Matt Murdock and Fisk that is some of the best television ever. The end of the second episode, he does this thing where he quotes a line and then something happens and he screams, and I said, I felt that. Like, I felt that for him when he did that.
It was amazing.
So I no longer am nervous about Disney Plus's Daredevil. I think it's going to be great. And if you were a fan of the Netflix, don't worry. And if you haven't watched it, please go back and watch the Netflix series and then get on board with the Disney Plus, because here we go, baby. This is good stuff.
It's been awesome so far. Daredevil has always been one of my favorite Marvel characters. Just a street level, gritty superhero delivering on, his his mission to uphold justice.
Yeah,
I suppose is excellent. I love it. This interpretation has always been phenomenal. I think Charlie Cox is perfect for the role. Loved the Netflix series when it originally came out, and whatever process they had to go through to get it to where it is now, I think is exactly right. Unfortunately, of course, they had to scrap their first go at it, which was like a 24 episode series.
Yeah.
And I'm, now it's like 10.
I'm not going to question anything.
No, I don't have any problem with it, as long as it's good TV. I finally got around to watching one of my most anticipated movies of 2024, Nosferatu.
Oh, yeah?
I loved it.
You see that Dracula weenie?
I did.
Okay. I've not watched it, but I know
It's
there's a Dracula
really,
weenie.
really
I know
good.
there's a Dracula weenie. And she goes, I know that part.
I enjoyed it a lot. I had a great time watching it. So much so, like, it was on Peacock. And then I just immediately was like, I think I'd like to actually own this. And so I just
bought it?
And then I bought it
On a DVD?
Yeah.
On a VHS?
No, dude. Like it was like a Blu-ray, but
Come on.
I also got like it was the Blu-ray and digital copy
That's cool.
too. So, really good. I love Robert Eggers anyway. The Lighthouse is one of my favorite movies.
Oh, I love that.
Like just hands down one of my favorite movies of all
More
time.
weenies.
Are there any weenies in the
I mean,
Lighthouse?
they're naked. He's naked.
There's boobies.
There's naked.
There's a little bit of boobies in the
He's
Lighthouse.
naked at the end.
I don't know if you see schlong though.
But you know it's there.
That's different.
He's a naked old white guy. The thread continues.
Another Willem Dafoe movie.
The thread continues.
Yeah. Yeah. And Theo Vaughn's been putting out some good podcasts recently too.
Yeah.
So I think that's it.
Rat King, baby. One love.
I don't know.
I do know something.
I do know too.
You should go to patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast where you won't get old white weenies. You'll just get us doing bonus content. You get so much stuff. You get this episode uncut with some bonus reviews that we did. You get some pregame chats where we get ready for the main episode. You also get a bonus episode. It's either going to be Pours from the Floor, where we finish in a bottle that's taking up room, or we get Simply Irresistible, which we did this week, or we have a brand new bottle we've never had, and we do Pop Chicka Wawa. Gets a little adult in that, but it's the first crack on a bottle. And it's also the first place to get all things, updates, anything that we would do before the main listeners. You get it there on Patreon. $5 or up, you're there.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
You want to follow us on social media? I'm at PRitter1792. Eric's at Whiskey Mutant. You want to follow the show as a whole?
Out.
It's at My Bourbon Pod. You can check out all of our apparel and merchandise that I design at bourbonshop.threadless.com.
Mic drop.
Yeah, I mean, nobody else does it. It's me.
It's true.
You want to send us a question or comment? You can do so by sending us an email. This is mybourbonshop@gmail.com. Send us a voicemail or a text message to 859-428-8253 for our Barrel Ring segment. If you would also like to send us samples or just a random package of assorted goods, we have a P.O. Box. That's P.O. Box 22609, Lexington, Kentucky, 40522. And leave us a rating and review on your podcast app of choice. We will read it out here on the show. Whether it's good, whether it's bad, preferably 5 stars, but it doesn't really matter. Either way, we'll read it out here on the show because we appreciate any and all reviews.
Do you think they're scared to do that?
Yes, I do.
Why?
Same reason they're scared to call in to Barrel Rings.
We're going to... Do people really think we're mean? We're just having fun.
Yeah, we have a good time.
Whether you're negative or positive, we're just having fun.
Yeah, but this has been a good time, and we appreciate Joe Beatrice
I need
for...
another therapy session.
I know you do. We appreciate Joe for being on the show with us again. We appreciate you all for listening or watching. Like the video on YouTube if you haven't done so. Subscribe.
Bonus episode coming soon.
Bonus episode coming out real soon. No spoilers, but you're going to want to stay tuned. Hit that bell notification so you know when it comes up. See you real soon. Until then, I'm Perry.
I'm Eric.
And this is my Bourbon Podcast.
I really blanked out for a second.
I know you did.
That's why I picked up. And I said, I don't really know what happened. Like, I know people are listening like, he's drank too much. I really haven't. Like,
I saw your face and I was like, well, guess I'm up.
If they could see everything, like, we've left so much. Like, we poured really light. Like, I honestly blanked out. Like, I was like, okay, Patreon, I did it. And then I just stopped for a second. Like, I really blanked out. I don't know what happened.
Okay, bye.